Thank you. Good morning, and welcome to the press conference of the closing film of the festival. This with a great honor to welcome the delegation of the film Shayda, Vince Sheehan, Oshama Sami, Noura Niazari, Zar Amir Ibrahimi, whom I'm very grateful for having worked doubly so hard this year, being in the jury and the star of our closing film. This doesn't happen that often, and I also want to extend my gratitude to Hanwei for working with us all the way through. Tom Grifson is here. Thank you, Tom. And we can start right away with the questions, as usual. If there are questions from the audience, otherwise I'll break the ice. Okay, I'll break the ice. So this is your first feature film, right? And you made it in Australia, addressing issues that are facing women even after they leave Iran. And we have seen what's going on. And now the media seem to be silent again about what's happening there. So the role of you as an artist in trying to be as creative as possible and at the same time addressing the hardships of those that cannot leave, how does that weigh on you when you are thinking about a film that you want to make?
Yeah, it's quite a big responsibility, I would say, to be an Iranian woman in the media, in the film industry. I think we do have a responsibility. At the same time, I wrote Shayda many years ago. I was 5 years old when I lived in the women's shelter with my mother, and it's very much an Australian story. But I was always inspired by my mother's bravery, and it's incredible to see the women of Iran, being so defiant in the face of adversity. And I'm so proud and inspired by them, and I'm hopeful that this is a historic moment in time for my country.
Thank you, Noura. If there are questions, just raise your hand. And would you like to comment on the chemistry with Zar in this film, which is quite magic? I mean, there's this kind of flow that you feel all the time, and it's extremely moving. And if you would like to comment on that, and if you have some anecdote that strengthened your bond while you're making this film, or there were moments where you shared stories and so on, because this is quite an amazing feat to have that kind of empathy, and at the same time it's never underscored. It's simply there. You can feel it, it pulses, but it's never shown off. So this kind of balance between the empathy, the closeness of the camera, the body in front of the camera, and this energy, how you achieve this kind of result.
Well, I had an extraordinary woman playing the part, so it was, from the beginning, I knew that Zar was Shayda from the very first few seconds of her audition, because she has this incredible duality of strength and vulnerability, and she was so generous with me, and we had this unspoken understanding of what was required for this role. At the same time, there was a lot of similarities in her and my mother's experience. My mother was also very involved with Zara's preparation and in the film's preparation in general. So it was kind of like a sisterhood, to make this film. It was the strength of all of us to lift up this character of Shayda on screen.
Zar? You don't want to add anything?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think I always say when the first time I read the script, I mean, Shayda was inside me. Even if I don't really feel that I had this experience, I'm not, first of all, I'm not a mother. And just finding that balance and that motherhood feeling, I think that was my really difficult, hard part to, um, and then Selena, that's all her job because she found me and then Selena, and first time we met each other, we just got connected immediately. First, second started playing and running around, and it was a beautiful experience for me, but one of my hardest movie I ever done. I think because I know how that can be difficult for you as a person and then as a filmmaker to decide to tell your own story through cinema. You need to keep your distance with yourself and then just tell it in through those images and with your actors. And so I think we really felt each other. We really understood each other from the beginning. And her mom helped me a lot. We became best friends. And she shared with me many documents, but many feelings. And then, but I think I was thinking in the beginning that I'm about to play a character who's supposed to overcome her traumas. But then now I think it wasn't about overcoming your traumas. It was about how you deal with your traumas, how you live with your trauma. And that was during the shoot that I really discovered. I actually discovered many things about myself, even if Shayda was a little bit. I mean, I can't say because I had all these traumas. Shayda was really inside of me. I think all women they have it, in a way. It was only about how you reach out all those colors of this mother, but traumatized mother.
And how did you manage to make it work for you to be empathic at the same time and keeping a certain degree of distance in order for your work as an actress to tell the story, to get the story across?
I think Noura did a great job as director, as this third eye who watches you, and somehow in a very smooth way we found a way to I don't know how it is this much balanced in the editing, because I feel I suffered a lot, I cried a lot, and I said it was a really hard shooting for me. I think the presence of Selena helped a lot because she was. It was the first time she was playing in a movie, but she was so humble. She was so sweet. She was there, not complaining, always happy. She brought this joy that we were supposed to live in the movie, in the story, with this New Year story and ceremony. She was bringing this every day, and when she wasn't there, I was so sad. So sad. I couldn't really play without her. And I think that just like in a very natural way, we see all these feelings on the screen.
I guess we have a question from the audience, but you need to put the earphones on because the question will be in Italian. Un secondo.
Yes.
Intanto complimenti per il film. La domanda è semplice, riguarda la figura maschile del marito. Un cattivo che era da tempo che non si vedeva, proprio così cattivo, che era da tempo che non si vedeva sullo schermo. Pensi che io quando l'ho visto ho pensato alla nascita di una nazione di Griffith e ho pensato al nero che insegue la fanciulla sulla roccia e la butta giù. E questo secondo me è proprio è un cattivo cattivo. Questo mi ha colpito molto. È realmente un senza altra soluzione. E vorrei sapere come lei regista è arrivata e come l'attore è riuscito a calarsi in questo ruolo che va a senso unico proprio.
I mean,
I've got to say, my feelings are really hurt right now.
I think he's not that mean in the film. No. I think that the father character is very complex. I wrote and rewrote in every draft of the script, and I really wanted to approach it from a place of non-judgment and really finding his moral compass in the film. And I think that Osama did a beautiful job finding the other shades of his character. Not just a simple antagonist, but something more three-dimensional. But I'd love to.
Well, it's coming across as mean, mean, mean. How many times did I hear the word mean? But, well, hello, buongiorno, bonjour, salam. Getting into character, well, when I read the script, unlike Zar found herself in Shayda. I didn't find myself in Hussein, thankfully, but the script resonated really strongly. I think I wrote Noura, 7-page email?
24.
24. Oh wow, 20-page email saying I want to be in this film, and then moving, because it's a story that's really worth telling, a universal story, and then with Hussein, I mean, I don't know, you use the term evil, but as an actor, you can't approach a role thinking you're evil, because then it becomes two-dimensional, and you want to approach it just as, like, people play murderers, and we understand why they kill people. So because there's the inner psyche, what's happening inside us, and if you just find out why a person's doing something. So you want to be non-judgmental, and the audiences are smart. They'll find out whether he really loves his daughter or he's manipulating his daughter. Like, that's for the sort of the audience and the director to craft. But it was a difficult role. I normally don't play. I've never actually played a role as heavy as this. I normally sort of do romantic comedies and things like that. So. This was very different, but I'm a dad. I have 2 girls, 2 daughters. So I tried to find, like, whilst he's possessive of his wife, I still thought, I think we've got to make him love his daughter, even though he manipulates her and everything else to get to Shayda. But there has to be some love. Otherwise, it's just two-dimensional. It's really a bit boring. But thanks for the mean comments.
Other questions from the audience? Yes, please.
Hello, Kuriko Sato from eiga.com Japan. Nice to meet you all. First, the question to Ms. Nora Niyazari. So you said you are writing several drafts. So the construction of a screenplay is still was continuing after you decided all casting, and if so, what was the impact about the casting? And this film is also executive producer is Kate Blanchett, right? So how did she involved in the movie?
I'll ask the first part of the question, and then I'll let Vincent ask the second part. So, I mean, the script was very complete before casting, but once I found my incredible cast, we did read-throughs, we did rehearsals, and there were some adjustments made after that, but nothing major. It was just about making it more personal to the actors and how they responded to the material. And I'll let Vincent talk about
thanks, Dora.
beautiful Kate Blanchett.
We, on the surface, the film was a difficult film to kind of take to the marketplace, a debut feature. We had financed the film without Zar being cast yet, so with a 6-year-old in a major role. So and non-English speaking. I mean, so we wanted to find a champion. I'd worked with Kate before, and Noura's screenplay plus her short films became a package that I could put in front of Kate and say, would you like to be a part of this? Kate, Coca Francini, Caitlin Gold, Lindsay Lanzalotta, from the 51 Fund, there was a dynamic group of people behind, not just Kate, working, with us to kind of pull together the financing. So it was a combination of some very inspired women.
Before we move on with the questions, I would love to say something to Osama, because I had a different perception of your character, because actually I felt it like extremely nuanced, and you can totally feel the contradiction in his behavior. And as a dad, it was extremely painful to watch a person trying to manipulate those he loves, and at the same time to reassert his own power. And it was quite an excruciating experience, because on the one hand you're almost tempted to be like empathic, and on the other side, no, don't do that, don't go there. And it's been quite complex to go until the end, because while watching you had also to question your own motives, and through your action you could see some, and I think I agree the character is quote unquote mean, but it's an extremely fascinating, complex, layered character, and it was it hit really close to home.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's you work with Zar. It's give and take. Seriously, and you've got a good director. It's makes the work a lot easier, because we spend a lot of time in pre-production, sort of going to to her apartment and just discussing, how our relationship and our history, because where we meet them, it's at the end of their relationship. So Zar was very generous with her time,
But I wasn't allowed to give him information. Nero wanted to protect Selena and Osama to have information. Selena from violence, and Osama from all personal information about their family.
Yeah.
So it was a hard job.
That's right. I think once we, I don't know if Noura knows this, but one night just before we finished, we listened to some tapes Zar snuck in some tapes, actual court tapes from Noura's father. And I've got to say, hats off to Noura, because it's a real person here, and sometimes as an actor you sort of forget that, and the impact it has on real people, and trying to humanize them is.
But that's a very smart approach, because she didn't want you to get this prejudgment about the character you're going to act in.
Yeah, because when you listen to those tapes, it's probably closer to his assessment of the character.
That's right.
But I think that Osama did a beautiful job rounding it out. Of course, it's very subjective. Everything is subjective.
Yeah.
Prego, Alessandra.
Oh, yes, of course.
A parte che sono d'accordo con quello che hai detto, mi sembra che una cosa bella del film siano i riferimenti alla cultura, agli usi iraniani, che creano un sottofondo per cui si capisce che questa cultura ha una complessità che non si riscontra solamente nel personaggio negativo, fra virgolette, ma anche nei personaggi positivi, come una specie di nostalgia e anche di sostrato umano ed emotivo importante. Volevo sapere se è nato dal fatto che lei comunque si sente molto iraniana, oppure se è stata una scelta precisa da parte sua.
It's both, I think. That's how I grew up. I was in Australia, but my mother created this Iranian house with poetry, with music, with dance, and I spoke Farsi at home and English at school, and so of course I feel Iranian. I was born there, and but you know, I have this duality because when I go back, I'm a foreigner with an accent, and when I'm in Australia, I'm not Australian. So, you know, I think that the living between two worlds is something I wanted to explore in this film. And Shayda trying to find her sense of self, her sense of identity, is very much tied to reclaiming those cultural celebrations and teaching her daughter. And that's what gives her the joy and hope for the future.
We have a question at the back.
Sempre in italiano. Il film parla comunque di una discriminazione sociale, se si vuol dire, no? E secondo me non deve o non può aiutare solo una donna in difficoltà, ma anche chiunque si senta sbagliato, no? E può aiutare davvero chiunque a sentirsi meglio con se stessi e non smettere di sentirsi sbagliato per combattere queste guerre interiori. Io volevo chiedere, effettivamente l'arte quanto può essere fondamentale in questa parte?
Who's the question for? Oh. Yeah, I mean, I think this film, it's so specific, obviously, because it's inspired by my personal experience and my mother's experience, and definitely in the making of the film, it was an act of therapy and an act of healing. I really felt the catharsis the first time an audience saw the film, which was at Sundance Film Festival, and you know, I felt people laughing together, crying together, feeling this connection in the room, and that's when I realized that it's beyond me and my mom. It's a universal story, and that's when I really felt like I was above this experience. Now I was looking down, if that makes sense, and I think that that's where the healing came. And I also feel that in the collaboration with these beautiful artists who've also endured very difficult situations, it was a healing for all of us, even the crew, you know. There was a lot of people who felt triggered by the material, and it was about holding space for everybody and to be able to create art, but with a sense of freedom. And yeah, I'm really proud of the film for that reason.
C'è un momento, una cosa importante nel film è la poesia che lei usa per consolare una donna, la poesia che viene usata per raccontare l'amore, e volevo sapere quanto è importante, penso per lei molto, perché se lo mette nel film, un autore come Hafez o altri autori che lei ha citato.
Absolutely. It's incredibly important. And, you know, through all the difficult times that we endured, you know, my mum would always go to the Book of Hafez to find answers. And I think that's very common for Iranians. And there's so much strength in sharing that with somebody else. It's vital for us. Poetry is vital for Iranians, I love that I was able to put it in this film because there's a delicacy to it, especially when it comes to cross-cultural relationship and finding that bridge.
You know, there was always lots of pressure on these people, like the Iranian nation, and I think that was always a way to survive it.
Yeah.
Just poetry, just dancing, singing, and it's in a very bizarre way, all this dancing, all those wine in that, because this poet, Hafez, has lots of word of wine, wine, wine everywhere. You need to drink wine, wine, wine. You know, and then you dance, and then you sing, and all these are forbidden in after revolution, after Islamic Republic in Iran. So it's just a way for us, but I think many other nations in the region, in Middle East, and I guess African countries, you know, all people who are suffering a lot, it's always there is a way to escape it, just to have a nice moment too, because that's life.
Yes, please. Last question.
Thank you. Question to Ms. Dara. The director, just before talking about the duality in living in a different country. So how about you? What do you have a feeling about that? And the second question is to you. You are pretty busy today, and you directed the movie yourself too. So, and then here you are doing a jury also. So, to seeing mature movies, and what impact did you receive from the other movies?
Yeah, I'm a dual person. I'm here, but I'm with jury too. You know, I have my double.
If you want, I can step outside if you want to answer.
You know, I think to answer your first question, that's something that I think even when I was in Iran, I grew up in Iran. I just left Iran when I was 26, but even I have still many friends there. My family all are there, and I miss it a lot. I really want to go back one day and have a just trip in this beautiful country, but it was never my home. I never felt at home. And I have the same feeling with Paris now. I live in Paris now for 17 almost years. And yeah, my home is there, but it's not my home. And I think I travel a lot, and that's something that it's about my choices in cinema too. I do many international movies, but staying with my roots in Iran, I have it. Iran is in me, like France is in me, but I need to leave it and get back, and leave it and get back. Some people it's hard to deal with it because it's just like you don't have home and you're looking for it, but it's just everywhere is your home, you know.
Thank you. Thank you to the team of Shayda. Thank you for being here with us today. Later this afternoon there will be the talk with Nura, Zar, and Donatella Della Ratta about all this subject that we have just briefly touched on during this press conference. And tonight we wait for all of you and many, many, many more for the closing night with Shayda. Thank you so much and have a nice afternoon.